Okay, hi folks. I am using a camera right now that I have not used since my trip to Arizona, and I'm doing it because I'm expecting this to be a little lengthier video than I normally do. What I'm doing this time is, before I've just thrown some water in, thrown some plants in, but I'm going to try for us to come up with a formula for our concentrate so that we know what we need each time we do it. So I have already put 4 cups of water into my pan. Now I don't have it on yet. I turned it on and I got a boil going. That's southern. I got me a boil going right there. To get the water hot so that when I get ready to dump this in, we're going to start the process. But my goal then is this little container right here is 4 cups. So I don't know if these stems will be enough, but if they're not, y'all know I've got more that I just processed yesterday. We'll dump the rest in of leaves. But now this is mostly stems, and you can see. And these are all the prickly stems. The reason I don't have the non-prickly in here is because y'all know I don't like to cut those, because it's harder to find those, but that plant produces more leaves, more usable product, so I don't want to cut the stems of that. Now if I had a bunch of those plants, like look at this, this is how many plants that I have yielded leaves off of the prickly variety, that small plant. Now that prickly variety is a small plant. It doesn't grow up to be the 8, 9, 10, 11 foot tall plants. They grow up, I've seen them so far about as tall as 4 feet, maybe. They usually run between 2 and 3 feet tall. So but there's more of them. So that's where I'm going to be getting to make my concentrate. Now I've been spotting for the last 3 days on my drives different places where I can go and forage. So I have several places spotted to go foraging today. Today, next door to me is the fairgrounds, and they're going to have a demolition derby and a tractor pull. So no, I don't want to be here for all that noise. My house actually vibrates. So I'll be out foraging. So we're going to start cutting this up. And I get cheap scissors, y'all, cuz I go through scissors like nobody's business. I use them out in the yard. I have specific scissors for that. They're actually made different, but these are my inside scissors for my wild lettuce, because wild lettuce gets gummy residue, and I have to wash these quite frequently, and I go through a lot of them. So I just get these cheap ones. I always try to get that green handle, so that reminds me this is my wild lettuce scissors. And what we're going to try to do today, now when I was pulling the leaves off of these plants, now some of them had been in that bag for a couple of days. It was really concentrated. Now this right here is one of those tips I was talking about. The ends of them are all bunched together, and it takes a long time for that to dry. So I tend to pinch these off and to either chew on them. And what I do, y'all, when I chew, and no, I'm not going to show you an example because I was raised that with bad manners. And I just chew on the tips. I just chew on it. And I'm doing a chewing and sucking motion at the same time to like draw those chemicals out. Yes, I do actually digest it, but I chew it for quite a while. There is a mechanism, and this was something I did speak on in a previous video. There is a mechanism by which when we are chewing and our saliva mixing in, that is very important to our processing of what we intake, and that gets the maximum benefit of our intake. That's why having teeth is so important. That's why crunchy foods are important. And I just woke up, y'all, so amylase function, I think is what it's called. But it's very important to get foods in their natural form and to chew them, because that process in and of itself, the chewing, is what gains us our best chemical intake, because it is that very process of our saliva mixing with the chemicals, because our saliva is different than our digestive juices. It is very important to get that function so that we get the maximum benefit of the plants. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to speak on, I've got a new follower that's a young man, and he is so excited. He's doing such a good job at this. And he asked me about the elderberry. Now, I haven't done a video on the elderberry yet. My brother's being very difficult with me. He told me he was going to charge me $10,000 for an elderberry bush. He was joking, of course. I told him I just wanted a small one, but then as we started talking, okay, the elderberry bushes grow in a very specific kind of soil. Now, I don't know what the analysis of that soil is, but I can tell you it is frequently found around barns where there's high manure content. It is found along fence rows, usually in places where there has been water washing topsoil down. So I'm suspecting it has to have a very rich soil to thrive and grow. And then, of course, it's got to drop its seeds, and it puts out tubers. So that's something that is how the plant grows. Now, they grow up so big. David and I were talking and decided that it's probably too big for my little backyard. And then it would start spreading and take over, and then to have to manage it with my other plants would be difficult, and it would choke out my other plants. So the importance of elderberry is as an adaptogenic herb. Now, it is a fallacy that the plant kills colds and flus once you get them. If you use it to treat that, it doesn't treat it. It simply builds your immune system to fight it from getting worse. So, I have filled all that up. Now that's, okay, that right there is just a little short of 3 cups. Let me see what I've got going in here. Hold that thought, I'll be right back. Told y'all I'll be right back. The joys of a small house, 875 square feet. Okay, so here's the rest of my plants. That's not quite 3 cups, and I want this to be at least the same proportion of water and plant material, because we're trying to make a formula, a usable formula to to work off of. So back to elderberry plants. They are adaptogenic, which means they are primarily immune boosters. They have all kinds of wonderful vitamins, minerals, not amino acids, but the plant, if you look it up, it is a very wonderful plant. It's a miracle type of plant, but the importance of it is as an immune booster. So then I sit here and look at, well, do I have plant material that is better suited to me, that is smaller? Here's one of those tips that's concentrated, that is smaller and easier to use, that has similar properties. And that's something you can do. It's not that one plant, it is the characteristics of the plant that are what we are seeking. So it doesn't have to be elderberry. There is a whole group of adaptogenics that some are easier to find in certain areas, which is what you're going to want. You're going to want what is in your area. So mine happens to be instead this wild lettuce plant and then the usnea. The usnea is one of those immune boosters. The wild green lettuce, because it has the polyphenols in it. That's all immune boosting. That's that large plantain leaf that's beautiful, and it slipped in there, but that's fine, it'll dry. Just gonna put a little bit more in there. Might as well. Okay, so this is 4 cups even right here. 4 cups even is what we're going to put in our water. Now it's low heat. Okay, we're going to move over here and we're going to turn this like that. Okay. So we're going to put this in here now into warm water. I'm sure it doesn't matter if it's warmer or cold. It's not like boiling eggs, y'all. And we're going to start our process of cooking it. And we're going to cook it down, and I do have that previous video. Now the camera I'm using, I can't just push a button and it uploads it to YouTube like all my other stuff. So I have to go in, hook it to the computer, and then upload and all that good stuff. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that right there to start simmering. And the other thing I'm going to do, trying not to block the camera, I do not have a lid for that pot, but I have this wax paper. It's not wax paper, it's parchment paper, cooking parchment paper that I've got right there that I use. Oh, here's another little good tip. See, it's real thick. It's real thick. Got part of the stem on that, so we're gonna throw that in there. So that will let out a little steam, but not much. It actually won't steam very much, but I just put that on there just to kind of help keep it warmer. And then when I see that it's getting up to that right simmering action, I'll take that off and put it to the side and then just let it slow simmer. Now that's going to take about 4 to 5 hours, and that's okay. Now I actually am very frugal about my electrical consumption, because I try not to give anybody any money that doesn't deserve it. And our local utility company has been found to be horrifically corrupt. TBI has raided them and stuff. It's just shocking, y'all. It's scandalous. Sometime I'll tell you a story about all the corruption and scandals in my little hometown, that although I love it, as I'm getting older, there is more corruption that is on such a large basis. We're talking about millions of dollars here. And the average person can't do anything about it. But you know what I can do? I can build me a solar generator, which I have, simply watching YouTube videos. So I have my solar panel in my window, and I can run small things off of it. And so that I can grow food and medicine in my yard, and I don't have to pay that money out, and not to a grocery store, not to a drugstore. I've got it right here. And I am very frugal in that I turn my stove off at the breaker box when I'm not using it. And there are times that, except for this right here where I'm making concentrate, this stove doesn't get turned on for months. Well, I found out the first time I did that, my utility bill was $20 less for that month. So then I found out that if I unplugged my gigantic big screen TV, I saved another $20 a month. Now that's $40 a month. That's not a lot of money, but for someone who doesn't make much like me, that's a whole lot of money. And at the end of the year, that's a whole lot of money. And so over that time, I have saved and saved and saved. And I'm very proud that I have turned into my daddy, who went through the house, turned the lights off all the time if you weren't using it to read. If you weren't using it to read, you didn't need the light on. I think it's so funny now. I used to complain about him so much, and now I just see all the wisdom that he tried to teach all of us. So I'm going to sit here and let this start cooking. I'm planning another video or two. I've got one uploading. And I'm going to pace myself this weekend because I'm recuperating and because of the rain. But I'm also going to be making a powdered leafy mix of the wild lettuce and the mullein. And I'm going to have it available because the wild mullein and the wild lettuce together are what has saved my life, healed my lungs, built my immune system up, reduced my pain. So I've decided, when I've been thinking about this and when I read y'all's responses to me, and I woke up this morning and I had 20 plus responses just to that little video I did last night. And that just, like I said, it just makes my heart expand. To know that I'm helping people. So the things that I sit around and think about, what is the thing that I can offer that will create the biggest benefit? Now, there's no more plants. All the plants now are just way too big to ship. Everything. Even ones coming up now, because of the warm weather and the rain, I'll go out there this tall. In a couple of days, they're this tall, and then in a week, they're already 2 feet tall. So I can't ship those out. So on the live plants, we're done. I could, dig up 1 or 2 and try to ship, but for now, I think we need to put that on hold. I can ship plantain, that's the plantago broadleaf plantain, and I can ship some small mullein plants. Those are the only live plants I can ship right now because they're small enough. And then on the concentrate, I've still got to come up with a price, and I'm going to write all this stuff down like it's a menu so that you can look at it. And then the dried leaves we're working on, and I'm going out to harvest more today. So until my next video, God bless you all. Eat the wild things and keep on keeping on. Goodbye.